In Don't Starve Together, as of now, few characters are able to align themselves with a side in this overarching conflict between Shadow and Luna. So I thought it would be fun to explore which characters would canonically side with who, or what. Of course, in-game, thanks to insight trees, you can side with whoever you want, except with Wormwood, as of now. So this is more of a fun little lore exercise and a few of my own opinions on who I think would side with who. To catch those up who aren't aware, the sides are Shadow, with Charlie as the figurehead, and Alter, with Wagstaff trying to control it. Some characters can side with one side without its leader, so to speak. For example, siding with Wagstaff does not mean you're loyal to Alter. If anything, it's the complete opposite since he's trying to control them. The same applies to the Shadows too. Some might wish to harness them without being loyal to Charlie, so think of it as 4 different alignments: Shadow, Charlie, Wagstaff, and Alter. I know it's not an option in the game, but we're doing this for fun. I'll start with the characters that are more obvious and work my way down to those where it's a bit more ambiguous. Let me know your opinions and what you would change. First up, we have Wormwood. Wormwood's is the most clear-cut character we have so far, as his insight tree only lets him take the Luna side. So that's what we gotta go with. Wormwood himself is also a literal creation of Alter, as is seen in his animated short, with the gem that makes up his entire body being seen falling from the moon, making him its child, or even a fragment of itself. I chose Alter specifically since I don't think Wormwood would want to willingly work with Wagstaff if he knew what his ulterior motives were, whatever his ulterior motives are. Maxwell I think is also incredibly obvious, as he's to side with Charlie. This is showcased in the Encore animated short, where he's coerced by her to align with her. Showcased by the flower on his lapel growing rose thorns, Charlie's motif, and his chest piece converting into black, aka her side. Originally you could make an argument for the Shadow specifically instead of Charlie, but due to the connection they formed as performance partners, I feel like Maxwell would side with her over the Shadows directly. Despite being free from the clutches of the Shadows, he once more cannot resist the illustrious temptations, especially with Charlie motivating him. WX78 is obvious to those who have played as them. They're a huge member of the Alter fan club. WX has had a fascination with all things Luna since their inception, and a lot of their quotes allude to wanting to either take the moon's power for themselves, or even become its champion. For this reason, it's obvious they would side with Alter, but specifically without Wagstaff's involvement, due to their vitriolic comments about him. Could it be that WX and Wagstaff both share knowledge on the potential of Alter due to their time working together? It makes for an interesting dynamic. Does WX's hatred of Wagstaff stem from a shared desire to control the moon? Probably, on top of all of the other reasons. Wilson, I'm going to side with Wagstaff. As a man of science, he's always privy to the scientific method, and all of his quotes regarding Wagstaff show an unwavering support for a fellow inventor. That alone is a strong enough point, but I also feel Wilson would actively avoid any of the Shadow alignments, as his time on the Nightmare Throne gave him plenty of perspective on what they're capable of, and he didn't seem all too pleased, to put it lightly. Though an argument could be made for siding with Charlie, since she did show sympathy towards him by releasing him from the throne. This was probably just so she could take the throne for herself, however. Winona is an incredibly tricky one. She came to the Constant specifically to look for Charlie, but would she side with her? Winona is incredibly loyal to her boss and shows unwavering support in helping him achieve his goals during the Moonstorm event. But is the respect for her boss greater than the bond to see her sister again? It's uncertain. She possibly would want to save Charlie from whatever otherworldly influence has a grasp on her. But would she be able to push herself away from her invitation in hopes that siding with Wagstaff would help her find a way to get her back? I personally think she would side with Wagstaff. She's an incredibly logistical person and would try her hardest to do whatever it takes to save her sister, even if it means going through whatever Wagstaff's plans may be. It will test her resolve royally being so close to her sister, who she's been looking for so long, but is still so far away. We've moved out of the most obvious ones and are now starting to trek into ambiguous territory. Again, let me know if you agree or disagree with my placements here. Wolfgang would probably side with Wagstaff. Wolfgang isn't a man of science, obviously, but by God is he scared of literally everything, especially the Shadows. I feel he would side with whatever side is against everything trying to kill him. That, as well as I feel Wolfgang is an incredibly altruistic man, and would not have the capability to side with any form of evil. He cares too much about helping and protecting others to let any form of evil in, even if he wasn't terrified of it. An argument could be made for Shadows, since it's what made him incredibly strong in the first place, but I feel like you'd want to be more genuine if his animated short is anything to go by. But also, the Shadows are scary. Though saying all that, he probably wouldn't like Wagstaff if he knew what he was up to. Woodie would be yet another Wagstaff fan. I'm mostly basing this off the fact that one of his insight perks allow Woodie to completely nullify his curse, something he's been out of control of his entire life. Being given the opportunity to be in control for once would be likely the most alluring option to him. He has nothing to gain by siding directly with Alter or the Shadows, as he is also an incredibly kind-hearted person. Except towards birds. Those are evil. We got Rob's favourite, Wickerbottom. I would put her in the Shadow camp. In her animated short, we can see her library had a whole dungeon focusing on research into the occult, and that included shadows. The exact ones from the Constant. Her books as well are heavily influenced by shadow magic, so I feel it's safe to assume she would side with them, if not for the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, something she craves ever so dearly. She wouldn't side with Charlie either, since Charlie is trying to control and use the shadows, whilst Wickerbottom probably just wants to study and unravel it, simply to just understand it. Also, look at her quote for Charlie, she really doesn't like her. Willow I'd put somewhere on the shadow side. Despite her being constantly harassed by shadows as a child and tormented long into adulthood, we do see her commune with a Terrorbeak in Wickerbottom's short, being delivered a note saying one more to go, almost as if she's already working with the shadows. There's arguments to be made that even at this time she wasn't working with Maxwell, as he usually made an appearance as himself instead of the form of other nightmares. As for why Willow would side with the shadows, it could be all sorts of reasons, such as long-term conditioning, but I feel a strong if you can't beat them, join them attitude is what drives her the most. I believe she's had a direct line to whatever entity controls or governs the shadows entirely, and has no desire or reason to side with Charlie. Wiley has no need for power or vengeance. His only ulterior motive is to get the heck out of the Constant. And for that, I feel like his best bet would be the one line to the outside world, Wagstaff. Wiley is said to have separation anxiety, and knowing that he's not able to see his family or anything from his life before is probably a strong driving force to wanting to get the heck out. Also, I need to let my man reunite with his mamam. Please, Clay. I've been battling where to put Wigfrid. You see what I did there? Since it's hard to read her actual motivations and what is just her stage performance. But from what we can see from how she only rarely slips up and breaks character, it's safe to say that even such an important decision would not break her streak. So I think she would go Alter, or as she likes to call them, Mani, which is the god of the moon in Germanic mythology. I feel that Wigfrid would fight against the side of darkness, and, in her own delusion, fight as a warrior of Mani. Seems fitting for the role of a Valkyrie. Fighting as or alongside one of the shadows would break her character, but maybe her having her character broken is exactly what would push her to the other side. Time for my main now, Wurt. I feel like she would personally side with Alter. She has no understanding or even care about siding with any of the humans, and has learned to avoid and fear the shadows as a citizen of the Constant. So when an unknown, otherworldly power arrives at her doorstep, I feel like she would be very easily influenced by its draw, even possibly ending up like a mutant. The moonfrogs are still friendly towards her, even after transforming, and her quotes towards gestalts and grazers seem to be more positive than others. My stupid fish child is unable to fight the allure of enlightenment. Wendy would probably side with Charlie. Call it a bond between her and her uncle Maxwell, but I personally feel she leans towards the shadow side, without wanting to be directly in control with them. I'm basing this mostly off the fact she seemingly has a distrust for anything lunar based, and rightfully so, and the whole lunar gimmick of bringing life back to death, I feel doesn't really fit what Wendy stands for. I don't want to go into too much detail about it, obviously. Though an argument could be made for her using Alter's power to revive her sister, Abigail, but seeing how it affects creatures like the Deerclops, perhaps it's better they do not. Also, she's emo as heck, of course she's siding with our goth queen Charlie. Wanda is being constantly accosted by shadows. They're the reason she ended up here after all. So it's safe to say she wouldn't side with them directly, as they'll most likely just kill her outright. And that most likely carries over to siding with Charlie as well, limiting our options to just Wagstaff or Alter. I'm going to put her on Wagstaff's team since she seems somewhat eager to assist him. I just don't see her showing any interest with Alter herself through any of her lines or character. Wagstaff probably has a lot of answers for her regarding the whole being chased by shadows and also a time anomaly, that she would love to have answered. Although saying this, the fact that Charlie does offer them to work with Wanda raises a lot of questions. She could try extending some sort of truce, or possibly even a partnership. Time will tell. See? Date this video poorly, Clay. We're at the bottom of the barrel now. These last few are almost purely conjecture and headcanon, so definitely let me know where you would put these guys. Wartox is a silly little multi-dimensional guy. He has no qualms with anything going on in the Constant, and is merely here for the amusement and fun that it offers him. I feel like he wouldn't side with anybody, but for the sake of this video, let's have him side with Wagstaff. Siding with him would let Wartox see what exactly crazy ideas Wagstaff has in mind for this dimension. It might be amusing to him. The long-term results are not important to Wartox, though he may care about the well-being of the survivors if he's been around here for long enough. And in the event that he knows Wagstaff's past and true intentions, he might have a change of mind. Weber is very difficult to place on a side. They're just a silly little pair of guys with absolutely no motivation. I don't see them wanting to help the Shadows or Alter simply out of childhood ignorance and whimsy. They'll probably just pick whatever the majority of the adult characters pick. But in a world where it's just them, I'll go with Charlie. Looking at what the moon did to the spiders, I don't think the spider side, or even the human side, wants to risk anything like that happening to them. Much like Weber, Walter is also incredibly hard to align too. For lack of a better term, Walter is oblivious to pretty much anything and everything going on in the Constant, and sees it all as one big scouting trip. He's shown willingness to help Wagstaff and Charlie, and I see no world where he decides to side with any of the deities directly, unless he's forced to. As messed up as it may sound, it all comes down to whatever side can influence him the best. And as it pains me to say, it's probably Charlie. He just wants to see little badges, after all. And last, but not least, Wes. Nightmares, shadows, horrible, horrible evil man. Cannot be trusted. Look at these eyes. Sin. And those are my picks for what character would align with what side. Don't take this video too seriously, just a little bit of fun headcanon to explore. Let me know if you want more lore videos or even videos like this in the future. And of course, let me know who you would align with what. Take care everybody and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.